Hi there. Welcome to MCSI. My name is Olivia. In this video, we will guide you through the typical structure of a penetration test. The first phase of a penetration test is reconnaissance. The purpose of this phase is to gather as much information about the target as possible. The more you understand your target, the most successful you're likely to be. Many top bug bounty hunters say that reconnaissance is the most important phase. Examples of reconnaissance questions for an infrastructure penetration test include: what ports are opened? Are the network services running vulnerable versions? Are there custom applications exposed to the internet? Is there a VPN service available to employees? You should develop a list of questions like these for each engagement. There are hundreds of tools you can learn to perform reconnaissance. We'd like to suggest 3 that you can try today. Nmap for port scanning, TweetDeck for social media profiling, Wapalizer for profiling web applications. By the end of the reconnaissance phase, you will understand what you are testing and how you will be testing it. You will know features of web applications, open ports, software versions, plus many more key data points. This data should be organized in a spreadsheet. When conducting an infrastructure test, this spreadsheet will be a network map. This network map should include such columns as IP address, machine name, operating system, open ports, services and versions, plus any other data points you have gathered. Creating this network map will help identify key targets for the engagement by answering such questions as: which systems may be vulnerable, and which systems will offer the most access in the network. In your spreadsheet, highlight the machines you will be targeting first. Creating a network map is essential for an efficient penetration test. It will help shape the engagement and also act as a quick reference. Try it yourself by creating a network map of your home lab. Include all physical and virtual machines, their IP addresses, operating systems, open ports, and services. Next is threat modeling. Threat modeling helps you identify critical security vulnerabilities unique to a target. It will improve your ability to do manual testing. You'll find bugs that security scanners miss. We use the information captured in the reconnaissance phase to develop a list of tests. For example, trying to delete another user's data or trying default credentials. Use frameworks and models such as Stride and OWASP threat modeling cheat sheet to generate hundreds of tests. Track these tests in a spreadsheet. Rank the tests by their potential impact, likelihood, and risk. As a practical exercise, select a website on the internet. Map out all the features that it offers. Invent 3 security tests you could run against the site. Try to make the tests as relevant as possible to the website. We encourage you to learn threat modeling. You'll improve your penetration tests with this skill. Vulnerability scanners are used to find weaknesses in systems. For beginners, we suggest that you run automated scanners at the start of a penetration test. They will help you discover low-hanging fruit vulnerabilities that can rapidly be exploited. Common vulnerabilities identified by scanners include unpatched software and weak encryption methods. At the end of a scan, a report is generated to outline the potential flaws in systems. A penetration tester should use this information to identify high-risk targets. Popular vulnerability scanners include Nessus and OpenVAS. As OpenVAS is an open-source project and available for free, we recommend starting with this one. Download it and give your machine a scan. See what it can identify. During a penetration test, it is essential to manually check for vulnerabilities. First, you must manually validate the findings reported by the vulnerability scanners. You should not report false positive findings to a client. Then you must find vulnerabilities that the scanners have missed. You will do this by manually testing an application or network for vulnerabilities. Check for security flaws in application features. For example, broken access controls and cross-site scripting. Use the OWASP Top 10 and MITRE ATT&CK matrix to generate test cases. You should have a pre-prepared checklist of tests to get you started. Then, because you've done the reconnaissance and the threat modeling phases, you should be able to generate more tests that are unique to the target application or network. Enter all new test cases into a checklist and test them one by one. Start with the easiest ones. Many tools are available to help the manual penetration testing process. Burp Suite is a very helpful tool when testing web applications. PowerUp is great at finding weaknesses in a Windows system. Check out the link to the MCSI library in the description below for more information on penetration testing tools. Download PowerUp and running on your Windows machine. See if it can find any vulnerabilities. Once you've identified a critical vulnerability, the next step is to exploit it. The goal of the exploitation phase is to compromise a system or gain unauthorized access to sensitive data. If the vulnerability was discovered with a scanner, then a publicly available exploit may be available. Search for pre-made exploits on EXPLOITDB, GitHub, and blogs. You must manually verify that the exploit is safe before running it against a production system. You do this by reading the source code of the exploit and understanding how it works. If the exploit is available in Metasploit, then it should have a safety rating. Make sure to only use the safest exploits. Otherwise, you may crash the target machine or application. If at all possible, try the exploit in a lab environment before using it against a live target. If a public exploit is not available, then you must learn how to write your own. First, write vulnerable applications. Select a vulnerability class, SQL injection for example, and write apps vulnerable to it. Make the vulnerabilities more and more complicated. Then manually exploit the vulnerabilities one by one. After that, you should script the exploit to automate it. Finally, integrate your exploit into Metasploit. Demonstrate that you can obtain a reverse shell into Metasploit. The engagement is finalized with a penetration testing report. A typical penetration testing report will include an executive summary. This is a high-level overview of the vulnerabilities discovered. This section helps executives understand the risks and impact on the organization. A methodology. Here, you will describe the steps of the penetration test and the order they are executed. All your findings will be assigned a risk rating. You will need to include a risk matrix to help the reader understand your risk ratings. Risks are generally rated as critical, high, medium, and low. For each finding, you should then give a brief description, explain the risks they pose, and suggest recommendations to fix them. Finally, your report will include a narrative. Here you will give a detailed description of the engagement, with screenshots as evidence. You will need to make sure your narrative is precise and easy to follow, as it will be acting as a guide for fixing and retesting. Imagine that DVWA in your lab is a client's web application. You have been requested to perform a penetration test against it. Exploit a vulnerability, then create a report to submit your finding to the client. See if you can write a report that contains all the sections listed in this presentation. If you like this video, please hit like and share this video on social media. Don't forget to subscribe to MCSI YouTube channel to receive more videos like this one. Join our online community of students learning useful cybersecurity skills if you haven't already. To register for a free account right away, go to our website. Happy learning and see you soon.